Hello and welcome. Today is another coaching episode, and this one I really love because I love the question. It was all about how to deal with negativity coming from other people and to approach it in a way so you don't avoid it, but you actually deal with it effectively and not allow it to bring you down. We talked a lot about how to manage that external negativity because no matter how much we try and how much we might not like negativity, it's just part of life sometimes. And we want to be able to deal with it in a way that is effective for both parties and actually comes to an outcome and not just keep showing up. And a big part about what we talk about today is not internalizing emotions, but actually moving through those emotions. Specifically, this is a great episode for those with emotional authority in human design. So I hope you enjoy this episode. Let's get into it.
So the question you submitted was how to best deal with negativity coming from others that I encounter in day-to-day life, clients, colleagues, roommates, etc. So I don't avoid it. Instead, I deal with it effectively. Yet it doesn't bring me down. Does that still ring true? That feels good.
Yeah, I mean, this past year has been really difficult for me, somewhat personally, but more from a business perspective. So I have my own company I started 8 years ago. Um, whereby we're primarily an importer. We seek out like artisanal hidden gems of wines, olive oils, and other foods from around the world. Even that's primarily Italy. That's where I am now. That's where I've been living since 2001. And then we sell it all across America, and
Yeah.
we're based in Ventura. But anyway, so because we're an importer, we're like the direct hit with all the tariffs and stuff. Prior to that, there was already in the wine industry a slowdown. So because wine is our primary product,
Sure.
so it's just been like a difficult year, and then I was talking with my colleague. Yeah, we were just having this conversation because like we do sell online to consumers as well as to businesses. And in particular, we were getting some nasty emails um, from clients or just people in general with our marketing activity. Um, and she's American, but she lives in Italy, and she kind of was observing in her life here in Italy that there's definitely something going on, and internalize things like that. Because I always think, what's the best way to deal with every situation? And
Sure.
and so when there's a difficult situation, my tendency is to just take deep breath and like figure out, all right, how's the best way to deal with it? And all that gets internalized and processed, and it becomes like a burden for me. So I've had some other things going on in my life as well, but it's
Mhm.
so
Yeah, so the biggest thing that I see with your human design is that you approach things in an emotional way. You need to let your emotions process. So even when the negativity comes up or any situation happens, you need to let the emotion process or it starts
mhm,
just building up in you. And there's always going to be something being thrown at us, but it's really
mhm.
important to recognize what the emotion is, give it that little bit of space. It's great you're already doing the deep breathing. It's taking that pause to ground in your body.
So I have one of my good friends, like I remember she's from New York, that's where I'm from originally, but I remember like her mentioning, oh, I have to process this, and like and I feel like I'm the same way. I mean, even before I started my company, I worked in fintech for various corporations for 30 years. And um and so um so it was just like a lot of politics, let's just say,
Mhm.
in particular with colleagues, but also clients. And I would notice that I I would, compared to some other colleagues, I wouldn't be one to like immediately respond with an answer, unless of course it was obvious. But if there was something that kind of would, if I had like a lingering doubt about something, I'd tend to not respond or whatever, or to not give a direct answer. Um, and so I'm wondering if kind of the way I am as a person is just more kind of like how my friend is. She just has to like process and think a situation.
Yeah, because you do have a lot of power in your voice. You
Mm,
know exactly what to say. It just you first need to process those emotions so it's not coming off as your initial emotion. Because if you want to approach someone based on the negativity, if you come at them without processing that emotion, getting back grounded into your body is going to be like thrown up on them and they might not react the right way.
right.
So, yeah, I think it's really important that you just focus on taking that deep breath. And with any
Mhm,
situation, it's a lot about timing. So, like, take that breath, ground whatever time you could take in the moment. But if you have time, spend an hour of just let it go. Let it just kind of process in the back of your mind. Your
mhm,
mind will be going, but wait, your
mhm,
body will just kind of tell you when it's time to approach it because you do really have a lot of power in your voice in how to articulate something. You understand where they're coming from and you approach it in a way that will initiate a conversation and not
mhm,
just attacking them. Because I think that's
mhm,
probably maybe where a little of the fear is coming from is you don't want to let this go, but you also want to approach it in the right way so they're open to
mhm.
what you're saying. So again, a lot of it is a processing your emotional side of it.
When you say there's a lot of power in your voice, I'm wondering, like when you say that, like what give me some examples, I guess, in terms of the benefit.
Everyone's different. So some people don't have this connection to their throat. And when you do have this connection, it's your way to express to the world. So you really have this natural ability to communicate and express yourself. So what I mean by that is like you might be overthinking what to say or the situation, but if you allow yourself and give yourself permission to just speak from your heart, what you're
Mm,
feeling, a little bit of vulnerability, people will connect with you because you do have the power in your voice. So like if you went to a vendor and there was an issue and you're took that time to breathe, ground yourself and then approach them, you
mhm,
don't really need to overthink what you're going to say. The right words will come. It just you're not on an emotional low and super like just angry and frustrated and you're not like
mhm,
super zealous and like way too excited. It's you're coming from this emotional neutral and the right words will come from you. It's just trusting that and not
mhm.
overthinking it too much because you really do know what needs to be said.
Okay. 'Cause then that would explain my like sort of DNA then.
Mhm.
That's kind of why instinctively I hesitate, like I just haven't like figured it out in my mind,
Yeah.
kind of like how my friend is like that too.
Yeah.
And and in fact, I mean, just an FYI, but like, I mean, I'm from New York, and I, you know, lived and worked in the New York City area, you know, f- for financial, corporations, and at a certain point, I got transferred for a brief stint in Dublin, Ireland, and then I kind of found the culture a little bit different there. The corporate culture, you know, with referring not to the company in Ireland, but just like how the Irish people are in the business world. And it kind of stuck with me because then I thought, well, maybe I'm not really made for the American business world, because in American business, like you're expected just to be an extrovert and
Yes.
just know things.
Hmm.
There's just really high expectations. Anyway, so that's kind of a little bit of background of what drew me to accept the job here in Bologna, Italy, back in 2001 for an
Yeah.
Italian company. And not that it was that much. I had other problems with the Italian company, which uh, is another story.
Mhm.
But but that it's kind of interesting because I didn't really feel necessarily myself in the rat race of,
Yes.
of the American, especially New York,
Yeah. I think most of us, I
rat
don't
race.
believe, are designed to do that. It's just we've been so
Yeah.
forced to think
Hmm.
that's how to succeed. But like I
Hmm.
truly believe you could be successful however you want. It just like the work I do is reconnecting to who you are and really
Hmm.
standing firm in that. Like if you need that time to respond, like give yourself to like a moment to breathe, an hour, a day, whatever. It's like you really take that because then you're gonna make the right move, the right next decision to
Right.
be able to really feel confident in what you're doing. And people are gonna respond to that.
Yeah, I guess that would also explain why I struggle with negativity
Mhm.
because it it means I don't necessarily always have to respond, but in some
Yeah.
cases, like as I said in my question, sometimes I have to respond, and I
Yes.
tend to, I tend to, procrastinate. And then,
Mm.
because of this, trying to figure out what's the best way to respond and stuff like that. And not normally the answer comes about. Yeah, what I also was gonna say was ever since I started my company in 8 years ago. And prior to that, I had this year of sabbatical in 2017 where I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. And but in particular, from when I started my company, I realized how important it is to listen to my gut.
Yes.
um and I think that's a lot of what you're talking about is listening to your body.
Yeah, because the way you're designed to make pretty much any decision is first paying attention to those emotions and making sure it's like an emotional neutral. Like
Hmm.
you're not super angry, you're not super sad, you're not overly excited. And when you get to that neutral,
Hmm.
your gut will tell you exactly because you'll
Hmm.
always get this initial gut reaction, but then you want to pay attention to where your emotions are and like give yourself that space to really feel
Yeah.
into is that right? Because there, you could easily make a wrong decision just because you were so excited about something. And then once you kind of calm down, you're like, oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really paying attention to your gut is how you make decisions on what your moves are. It's just first paying attention to your emotions and then your gut. It's
Yeah.
really important.
Yeah, I know when it comes to relationships, intimate relationships with, a partner and all that.
Mhm.
Like I also kind of agonize, I guess you can say, over when I know there's a problem and I feel like I have to address it. Like I have
Yeah.
people have complimented me on the fact that I get around to
Mhm.
addressing things. It's just I do address them head on, but to your point, it needs to be the right time.
But I mean, to me, it's a good thing that you care and you give it thought because you're just not out for yourself. You really want to make it beneficial to both of you, but also standing your ground. And that's why you speak up. And that's really powerful. So, like, really trust that.
Mhm. There have been times in my life where there can be like a lot, sometimes there's like a lot of really good things going on, a lot of opportunities, but then all of a sudden I feel like,
Yeah.
out of balance,
Yeah.
so so balance to me with running my business. Once I see something that's disorganized, like I'm like, we have to get organized.
Yeah.
Um I mean, it's funny. I tell people you wouldn't know if you look around me that things are organized, but they actually are. Well, I did take this course on emotional intelligence, and I learned it's actually here in Italy, but I learned about 7 types of intelligence. It was really
Yeah.
easy for me to
Yeah.
determine, what was and what's not my
Mhm.
intelligence. But one of my the intelligence that I have is a visual intelligence. So when it comes to like losing things, I'm pretty confident once I lost something because I
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I
That's,
would
yeah.
see it.
With your design, you're a manifesting generator, and they're really known for it might seem chaotic to everyone else, but you know exactly what's going on. Like your mind can move fast enough to understand it all. Um, so I think it's funny you say it looks chaotic, but then you know where things are and you keep track of everything. You're known for juggling like a million things at once and
Mhm.
able to accomplish it all. And also part of that is you respond best to the yes or no questions. Like if I was to ask you a very open-ended question, your mind might go blank.
Oh, okay.
You
Okay.
need a little something to grasp onto. Um, so the way you're describing, like, yeah, it's very much a manifesting generator. It's you might have your hands in multiple things. Your room might look chaotic, but it all makes sense to you. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I know when, with the, I do have people that, help me, help me run my business, and sometimes they're like, we find difficulty finding time to like have like a Zoom together or whatever, and then they say, oh well, I'll just write you and you write me back. I'm like, no. I don't know, maybe if that's because how I am, but I just find that I'm just much more effective if I talk to someone. I guess this is really on point, the question
yeah,
that I had. Um, I mean, it's just so I do, pretty much like my whole life, I like jogging, and even today when I went for a jog, I mostly walked, which because it snowed here 2 days ago. So today was like the sun was out and it was just gorgeous, so it was just
yeah.
like, all right, this is definitely gonna be the highlight of my
Mhm.
day.
Nice.
But but anyway, so because I have I do see a psychologist, because I back in 2022 I started to get what I didn't know at the time were panic attacks, and they happen when they manifest themselves when I drive. Um and and so when I'm in Ventura, which I'll be in Ventura, in a month or so, and then whatever. That's where I spend the majority of my time. But and then we sell to wine stores and restaurants, and so I'm just like in the car, uh having these like really intense days of visits, and traffic and all this kind of stuff, and going down. Yeah, so but anyway, um I started to uh, kind of have these kind of scary episodes in which I'd be driving down the freeway, and what I found out later, I was having like an out of body experience, that was really like a panic attack. And so I've see a psychologist on somewhat regular basis, at least when I'm in Ventura. And he's worked with me, um and he's given me, basically given me compliments in terms of how I've been able to um handle the panic attacks. He said that a lot of people that he's worked with, wouldn't even return back to driving, after they happen. So, um, but so yeah, I worked with him on, I kind of figured out that I wasn't doing my sort of usual meditation and prayer, and my kind of when I'm in Ventura, like I love to run along the beach. I wasn't kind of doing that kind of stuff. And that, I realized that that definitely has value. So again, it kind of comes back to the balance and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Being able to listen to my mind and my body. Um,
Yes.
so um but
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah. No, I find it very interesting because two things in your design, like movement is really powerful for you to like help clear things and help you like
mhm, mhm,
ground. Um, but it's doing those things that you like really enjoy is like where your power comes from. So like the more you could do
mhm,
things that you just super excited about, the more
mhm,
things are gonna flow and the easier just life in general is gonna be because you're able to come from a place of the joy versus lack. So the more that you're doing that you enjoy, you're not going to resent those things that are like these negative things, conversations you have to have, because you know there's so much joy in your life. The more joy, the more things are attracted to, like the right opportunities, the right people, the right
Mhm.
everything is going to be attracted to you. So like, yeah,
Yeah.
finding those things you really enjoy, the balance is really important.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just so you know, like I kind of referenced before that the wine industry's been slowing down, has slowed down. So when I started my company, I thought it would scale, and we would be much bigger than right now we're still really small. So as a result, I'm still somewhat of a one woman show, and I have things that I enjoy. I have to do a lot of things that I don't like to do. Um, and anyway, but but when I'm like, for example, when I'm back here in Italy, I know I have to do a lot of back office stuff. I have to respond to a bunch of clients. I have to do all this, like, um, kind of the things that I don't like to do, but you have to do them. And and then uh and then I wind up, though, kind of being drawn to the things that I like like one of the reasons why I like what I do is I get to go to these really beautiful places, like, nature. I really like nature, and then I like to meet people, and I like to learn about what they do and the stories and the traditions and the whole, like, experience of tasting wine and food, all that. So anyway, so what I wound up doing is I wound up organizing my schedule whereby I have, like, time. I have to set aside time, that
Yeah.
things that I don't like to do, and then I wind up, you know, setting aside time for the things that I enjoy doing, which is related anyway to my job. So,
Yeah.
you know,
That's,
but but I do have to, yeah, I do have to manage that because, because obviously I have obligations,
mhm.
for running my business and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. It's all about that balance.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, it's really useful. Yeah. I didn't know anything about this approach.
Yeah.
So it's something is it a new methodology
Um,
or
is it 40 years this year? Yeah, like in the 80s, it was discovered. The guy, there was a guy that just had like this download that it combined all these methodologies into one. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's fairly newish. It's not like
Okay.
astrology that's been around for centuries. I chose it because I just really related to it. It felt really true to who I am. I've never taken a, personality test or some of those other methods, like even
Mhm.
astrology, like I don't really connect with. But I just found human design. I'm like, it just felt very reassuring, validating. Like again,
Mhm.
it's a lot of the things you already know about yourself. You maybe just disconnected. I mean, kind of like what you said,
Mhm.
we're so cultured to like hustle and push and like work, work, work. It's like, well, some of
Mhm.
us aren't actually meant to do that. I don't think most people are meant to do that, but then you kind of get
Right.
pigeonholed. So it kind of brings you back to yourself and gives you like that
Yeah.
confidence, like, no, I'm gonna do it my way.
Yeah, well, I am in I'm kind of in this phase of discernment, like, being that my business, not that I want to make any grand changes, like, because a lot of things that I do like, I really like being in Ventura. I bought like a home there. I really like the neighborhood. I planted like a lot of great seeds,
Yeah.
um, but at the same time, I do feel that, with last year just being so difficult, that it's making me, really think, like, okay, what else am I, called to do? And so I'm kind of have my feelers out. And one of the things, like, for example, that I've been doing here, my home here, which obviously, like, I don't, spend that much time here, but I have a lot of books that of course I don't, have with me in Ventura,
Yeah.
um, and a lot of them are about meditation, um, and like these spiritual mystics, and
Mhm.
especially in the Christian, you know, Christian mystics.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, so that's kind of, uh, I'm kind of starting to read again those books, and that would kind of explain what you were just describing. It would kind of explain again why I'm drawn towards that. It's
Mhm.
because, um, kind of needing just to kind of, um, just think and meditate. And I spend a lot of so.
Yeah. Yeah, reconnect to yourself is the way I like to think of it. Like,
Mhm,
yeah, give that time to meditate and
mhm,
think and like just really
mhm,
connect with yourself.
right.
Yeah.
Mhm. I think that you provided me with um, a lot of things to kind of reflect on.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah,
You're welcome.
I think I got everything I kind of wanted out of it. It was
Okay,
just
good.
pretty, very helpful,
Hmm.
kind of eye opening
Yeah,
too.
good. Well,
So
very good. Well, yeah, it was wonderful to meet you.
thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. I really love these coaching episodes, and I really hope you got some nuggets of wisdom on how to best approach negativity from other people. And maybe you found some new tips that you could go try the next time negative situations pop up. I absolutely love doing these coaching episodes, and I want to keep doing more of them. So if you want to be coached by me for free on the next episode, bring whatever questions been weighing you down, spinning in your head, something that you've been dealing with, or you just want some more insight into your human design and how to actually apply it to your day to day. I would love to have you. I'll leave the link to sign up below. Until next time, keep rebelling, keep rising.